What would you do if the boy bleeding in your arms belonged to the most feared man in Detroit? Lena Hart was running for the last bus after another 14-hour shift when she heard someone trying to breathe behind Bellini House. Snow covered the alley. Her rent was overdue. Her mother needed medicine she could not afford. Then Lena found 12-year-old Owen Knox collapsed beside the brick wall, his face bruised and his legs unable to hold him. She called the private number in her apron. Gabriel Knox answered on the first ring. "Your son fell," Lena whispered. "He can't get up." A chair crashed on the other end. This is not only a story about a waitress and a mafia boss, it is about what fear can do to a family and what love must surrender to become safe. Stay to the end. Like the video and comment where you are watching from. Hours before Gabriel Knox dropped everything and raced toward the snow behind Bellini House. Lena Hart had been standing in a cold kitchen, trying to decide which bill could survive another week without being paid. Morning light entered the apartment through a window filmed with ice. The radiator beneath it clicked twice, released a breath of lukewarm air, then became silent again. Lena stood at the kitchen table wearing her work sweater over a faded sleep shirt. Envelopes covered the scratched wood. Rent, electricity, a hospital statement, a letter from the pharmacy. She placed the rent notice beside the electricity bill, then moved both beneath the hospital envelope as though changing their order might change the amount owed. Her phone rested beside a chipped coffee cup. The banking screen showed $112. The next treatment co-payment was due Friday. Rent had been due Monday. Behind her, the bedroom door opened. Valerie Hart entered the kitchen slowly, one hand resting against the wall. A gray robe hung from her shoulders. Her hair had begun growing back in thin silver strands after the last round of treatment. She looked at the envelopes. "You are staring at numbers again." Lena turned the phone face down. "They change when I stare hard enough. Do they become larger? No. Then you are doing it wrong." Valerie opened a cabinet and reached for a mug. Lena moved before she could. "I have it. I can pour coffee." "You almost fell yesterday. I almost fell because you left your shoes in the hallway. My shoes were beside the door. The hallway begins beside the door." Lena poured coffee into the mug and added more milk than Valerie liked. Her mother noticed but said nothing. The humor between them had become a quiet agreement. They could make jokes about weak legs, bad coffee, and doctors who spoke as if every sentence had been approved by a lawyer. They did not joke about time. Lena looked at the clock. "We need to leave in 20 minutes. Valerie sat at the table. "You work until midnight." "I know. You do not have to come to the appointment." "I know. Then why are you putting on that face?" "What face?" "The one that says you heard me and rejected every word." Lena pulled a chair closer. "I am going with you." Valerie lifted the coffee. "You cannot keep living 3 lives at once. I only have 2 jobs." "That was my point." Lena smiled faintly. Her mother did not. "You left the medical program because of me. I left because tuition was expensive. You left because I got sick." Lena looked toward the frozen window. The apartment across the courtyard had a yellow lamp glowing above a breakfast table. A man in a white shirt packed lunches while 2 children argued over cereal. The ordinary scene hurt more than the bills. "I can go back later," Lena said. Valerie studied her. "Later is a dangerous place to store your life." Lena gathered the envelopes and slid them into a drawer. "We are not having this conversation before coffee. We have it after coffee, too. Then I will stay busy. You are very talented at that." The oncology clinic occupied the 4th floor of a medical building near Midtown. By 8:30, every chair in the waiting room was filled. People sat beneath bright lights holding folders, water bottles, in the hands of those who had come with them. Lena checked Valerie in and completed another insurance form. The woman behind the desk lowered her voice. "The medication assistance review is still pending." "How long does that take?" usually 2 to 4 weeks. She needs the refill in 6 days. I understand. Lena looked at the woman. The answer had been delivered gently, but gentleness did not make it useful. What happens if the review is not finished? You can speak with financial services. We already did. They may have another option. They gave us a payment plan. The woman looked at the line forming behind Lena. I am sorry. Lena stepped aside. Valerie pretended to read a magazine. She had heard every word. Dr. Warren entered the examination room 40 minutes later carrying a tablet. He was a careful man with tired eyes. He asked Valerie about nausea, pain, appetite, and sleep. Valerie answered honestly until he asked how often she became dizzy. Occasionally. Lena looked at her. Every day. Valerie sighed. Once a day is still occasional. Dr. Warren pulled up the latest scan. The treatment is slowing the progression. Lena watched his face. But... He looked toward her. But Valerie is experiencing significant toxicity. Her blood counts are low and her body is not recovering between cycles as well as I would like. What does that mean? Valerie asked. We may need to reduce the dosage. Will it still work? It may. Lena heard the space between his words. What else is available? There is a specialist program in Cleveland testing a different combination. It is not experimental in the way people often imagine. Both medications are approved. The program is studying how they work together for patients with this specific profile. Can she apply? Yes. Will insurance cover it? I do not know. Can you send the referral today? Dr. Warren nodded. I can send the medical summary. Lena took a notebook from her bag. What forms do we need? Valerie placed one hand over hers. Lena, what? You are writing like you can force the paper to say yes. Lena lowered the pen. Dr. Warren looked between them. I will have the patient coordinator contact you. They left the clinic shortly before noon. Snow had begun falling over the parking lot. Valerie paused beside Lena's old sedan. You are late for work. I called. Your manager will punish you. My manager believes punishment is a personality. Valerie smiled. Then the strength left her face. Lena opened the passenger door. Her mother sat carefully. Before Lena closed it, Valerie caught her wrist. Do not take another job. I am not looking for one. That was not a denial. Lena crouched beside the open door. I am going to find a way. You always say that. Because I always do. Valerie touched her cheek. That is what frightens me. Bellini House occupied a restored brick building in Greektown. Its front windows glowed amber against the winter afternoon. White tablecloths covered every table. Bottles of wine rested inside glass cabinets. The private dining rooms upstairs had hosted judges, business owners, athletes, and men who never placed their names on reservations. Lena entered through the kitchen at 12:47. Her manager, Curtis Bell, waited beside the service station. He wore a navy suit and a gold tie. You were scheduled at noon. My mother had an oncology appointment. You were still scheduled at noon. I called Tessa. Tessa does not manage this restaurant. She answered the phone. Curtis glanced toward the kitchen. We had a lunch reservation arrive early. There are 4 other servers, 3 now. I sent Maria home. Why, a guest complained. About what? Her attitude. Lena tied on her apron. The guest put his hand on her waist. Curtis lowered his voice. Do not begin. She asked him to stop. This is a hospitality business. That does not make her part of the menu. Curtis stared at her. Table 12 needs water. Lena walked away before he could answer. Bellini House taught its employees to become invisible without disappearing. A server had to notice every empty glass, every dropped fork, every glance toward the door. She also had to forget everything she overheard. Lena had never learned the second part. By 6, the dining room was full. A city councilman sat near the front window with a woman who was not his wife. 2 lawyers argued quietly over a construction permit. A man from the Port Authority drank sparkling water while everyone around him ordered whiskey. Lena moved between tables, carrying plates, refilling glasses, and collecting details no one intended to give her. At 7:15, the room changed. Conversations lowered. Curtis straightened his jacket. The front door opened. Gabriel Knox entered with his son. Gabriel was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed in a black coat dusted with snow. He did not need to look around the room to know who was watching him. Men watched power. Power rarely needed to return the favor. Owen walked beside him carrying a book beneath one arm. At 12, he was already learning how to move through rooms that feared his last name. Caleb Mercer followed them. Dante Shaw entered last and remained near the door long enough to study every table. Lena knew the names because everyone who worked at Bellini House did. Gabriel Knox controlled freight companies' construction contracts and enough of the Detroit River to make politicians return his calls. People also said he controlled men who solved problems no court ever heard about. Curtis approached with both hands visible. "Mr. Knox, your usual table is ready." Gabriel nodded. Lena was assigned to them. She brought water first. Owen looked at his glass. No lemon. "You looked offended last time," Lena said. "It tasted like furniture cleaner." A small smile appeared on his face. Gabriel looked at him. The expression vanished so quickly Lena almost missed it. "You remembered," Owen said. "I remember serious complaints." "That was serious. I believe you." Lena placed bread on the table. Gabriel's eyes settled on her name tag. "Lena." "Yes. My son says you gave him extra dessert last month." Owen looked down. Lena kept her face calm. He looked hungry. He had eaten dinner. He looked emotionally hungry. Owen tried not to laugh. Gabriel studied her for another second. Then he opened the menu. "Bring him whatever he wants." Owen looked up. Really within reason. That ruined it. Lena walked toward the kitchen with the faint sound of Gabriel's son laughing behind her. The meal began quietly. Caleb spoke about river traffic and delayed shipments. Dante checked his phone twice. Gabriel listened while cutting Owen's steak into smaller pieces without asking whether he needed help. Owen watched the knife. "I can do that." Gabriel stopped. "You were distracted. I was reading. At dinner. You were talking about cargo." Caleb smiled. "Cargo pays for dinner." Owen looked at him. "I thought Dad did." The smile remained on Caleb's face, but his eyes changed. Lena approached with another basket of bread. Owen asked, "Can I go to Mason's birthday dinner Saturday?" Gabriel glanced toward Dante. "Where?" "Buddy's Pizza." "Which location?" "The one near school." "Dante will arrange it." Owen's shoulders lowered. "Can the guards stay outside?" "No." "Then I do not want to go." Gabriel looked at him. "You asked for permission." "I asked to go with my friends." "You will be with your friends. And 3 men watching us eat. They keep you safe." Owen looked toward his plate. "They make me lonely." The sentence entered the space between them. Lena placed the bread on the table. Gabriel saw that she had heard. She moved away without speaking. Near the service station, she looked back once. Gabriel was no longer listening to Caleb. He was watching his son. Owen had opened his book beneath the table. Caleb reached for his wine. "Which car is taking him home tonight?" he asked Dante. Dante looked at him. "The normal vehicle. I heard Jefferson is blocked. We changed the route." "What entrance time?" Gabriel turned his head. "You do not handle Owen's transport." Caleb lifted one shoulder. "I handle every problem that becomes expensive. Owen is not a problem. I did not say he was." Owen closed his book. Lena noticed the movement from across the room. His shoulders had tightened again. A crash sounded from the kitchen. A tray struck the floor. Plates shattered. Owen flinched so violently his chair moved. His breathing changed. Gabriel reached for him. "Owen!" The boy pulled away. "I am fine. You are not." "I said I am fine." His hands trembled beneath the table. Gabriel stood. That made every guard in the room move. Owen looked toward them. His breathing became faster. Lena crossed the dining room and crouched several feet away. "Owen," he looked at her. "Name 5 things you can see." "What 5 things?" Gabriel watched her. Owen swallowed. "The candle." "Good." "The blue door." "What else, my dad's watch?" Gabriel looked down at the watch on his wrist. "The red menu," Owen continued. "One more." Owen turned toward the window. Snow. His breath slowed. Lena remained where she was. 4 things you can touch. The tablecloth. He pressed his fingers against it. "My sleeve." His voice steadied as he continued. Gabriel lowered himself into the chair. He did not interrupt again. When Lena stood, Owen looked embarrassed. She placed a clean napkin beside him. "Furniture cleaner. Lemon water is still worse." A quiet laugh escaped him. The tension around the table eased. Before leaving, Gabriel signed the bill and placed a black card beneath it. Lena picked it up. Only a phone number appeared on the front. "What is this? If Owen ever comes here without me, call." She looked toward the boy, pulling on his coat. "Why would he come here without you?" Gabriel's gaze shifted toward Caleb. Caleb stood near the entrance, speaking with one of the security drivers. He should not. Lena slipped the card into her apron. Outside, Dante opened the rear door of a black sedan. Owen paused beside Lena. "Thank you. For the breathing exercise. For not telling everyone I was scared." "I think they knew." His face fell. "But knowing is not the same as making it your whole name." Owen considered the sentence. Then he climbed into the car. Caleb watched the exchange from beneath the restaurant awning. Snow collected on his coat. He had spent 3 weeks building the plan. The security system around Owen was enormous, but enormous systems were often easier to break than simple ones. Too many men assumed another man was watching. Marcus Reed changed the evening driver assignment. A dispatcher sent Dante a false report about a suspicious vehicle near Gabriel's office. The camera beside the Grosse Pointe side entrance was placed on a recorded loop. The guard inside the house received confirmation that Owen had already entered. The confirmation came from Caleb's office. No one questioned it. Caleb knew Gabriel had given Lena the private number because he had seen the card placed beneath the bill. That changed the final location. Bellini House had always been symbolic. Gabriel had used the private rooms upstairs during the years when his organization first took control of river freight. Leaving Owen behind the restaurant would turn the attack into a message. Leaving him where Lena would find him would make certain Gabriel received the message before anyone else softened it. The sedan reached the estate shortly after 8. Owen stepped from the vehicle while the driver spoke into his radio. The side entrance stood 20 feet away. A dark van moved from behind a line of trees. 2 men crossed the snow. Owen heard one of them say his name. He turned. A hand covered his mouth. He bit it. The man cursed. Owen kicked backward and struck another man's knee. For 1 second, he broke free. Then Marcus caught his coat and pulled him into the van. The door closed. Inside, the smell of industrial cleaner burned Owen's nose. One man wore gloves. The other had rolled his sleeve above the wrist. A black stag was tattooed against his skin. Owen knew the mark. His father had once called it a promise carried by 10 men. Marcus struck him when he asked why they had it. The blow sent Owen against the metal wall. Another man said Silas Boone will be pleased. He said the name too clearly. Owen remembered that. He remembered everything he could. The turns, the sound of a train, the smell of the cleaner. Marcus checking his pulse. The men argued about how long he could remain outside. "He is only leverage," Marcus said. He is a kid. He is Knox's kid. The sentence frightened Owen more than the pain. To these men, he was not a person. He was a way to move his father. The van stopped behind Bellini House after midnight. The alley was empty. Marcus dragged Owen through the side door. Owen tried to stand, his injured knee folded beneath him. He struck the wall and fell. One of the men pulled his coat closed. Another placed him on his side. Marcus set Owen's phone near the dumpster where light from the security lamp would reach it. "You were never supposed to die," he said. Owen looked at the black stag on his wrist. "Dad will know." Marcus lowered his sleeve. "That is the point." The van disappeared into the snow. Inside Bellini House, Lena finished polishing the final row of glasses. Curtis counted the night's receipts near the register. She checked the tip total he had written beside her name. "It is missing $40. Service adjustment." "What service adjustment?" Table 9 complained. "Table 9 asked me to sit in the guest's lap. You refused rudely. I refused clearly." Curtis closed the ledger. "You need the hours, Lena." She looked at him. He knew about Valerie. Everyone did. Need gave people permission when dignity failed to stop them. Lena removed her apron. "Good night, Curtis. You are opening tomorrow." "I know." She put on her coat and pushed through the kitchen door. The final bus waited at the corner. Lena began running. Then she heard a sound behind the restaurant, a broken breath. She stopped. The bus doors closed. Red lights moved away through the snow. Lena turned toward the alley. The security lamp flickered above the brick wall. A boy lay beneath it. By the time the ambulance reached Children's Hospital of Michigan, Owen had lost consciousness. Gabriel rode beside the stretcher. Lena sat near the doors with blood on her hands and snow melting from her hair. Caleb arrived at the hospital less than 10 minutes later. His coat was dark and perfectly buttoned. He looked through the glass at Owen surrounded by doctors. Then he turned toward Gabriel. "When do we hit Silas Boone?" Caleb Mercer stood outside the treatment room and asked when they would strike Silas Boone. Gabriel did not answer. Through the glass, doctors cut away Owen's school shirt and placed warm blankets around his body. A nurse adjusted the oxygen mask over his face. Another called out numbers from the monitor. Every number seemed to remove something from Gabriel. Authority, language, breath. Lena stood several feet away with dried blood across her hands. She had tried washing them in the ambulance, but the water had only spread the red into the lines of her skin. Caleb stepped closer. "Gabriel, I heard you. Then you understand what this means." Gabriel looked through the glass. "It means my son is injured. It means Boone crossed a line." Dante Shaw entered the corridor carrying Owen's phone inside a clear evidence bag. "The police are downstairs." Gabriel turned. "Which police major crimes and child protection?" Caleb's mouth tightened. "They do not need to be here." Dante looked at him. "A 12-year-old was abducted and beaten." "This is internal." "No," Lena said. 3 men looked toward her. She had not intended to speak. The words had arrived before caution. Lena wiped her hands against a hospital towel. A child was left in an alley. That is not internal. Caleb studied her as though noticing her for the first time. Gabriel looked at Dante. "Who called them the hospital?" A woman in blue scrubs stepped through the treatment room doors. She wore no jewelry except a plain watch. Her dark hair was pulled away from her face. Mr. Knox Gabriel moved toward her. "I am Dr. Elaine Porter." "How is he?" "He has a concussion, 2 fractured ribs, severe bruising, and an injury to his right knee. His body temperature was dangerously low when he arrived." "Will he recover?" "I believe so." The words did not soften Gabriel's expression. "You believe he is stable, but he has not regained full consciousness. We need imaging, neurological observation, and time. I want the best specialists in the building. They are already here. I can bring others." Dr. Porter held his gaze. You can make phone calls after my team finishes stabilizing him. Gabriel stepped toward the door. I am going inside. No. The corridor became still. Caleb shifted his weight. Dante watched Gabriel carefully. Dr. Porter did not. She had already turned toward the chart. Gabriel placed one hand against the door. That is my son, and the room is full of people working to keep him alive. I will not interfere. You are interfering now. His face hardened. Lena saw the response building inside him, the voice that made men move, the cold expression that changed disagreement into danger. She crossed the space between them. If you want them to save him, stop making them manage you. Gabriel looked at her. For 1 second, no one breathed. Lena could hear the monitor through the glass, a steady mechanical rhythm. Gabriel removed his hand from the door. Dr. Porter gave Lena a brief glance, then returned to the treatment room. Caleb waited until the doors closed. You allow a waitress to correct you in front of hospital staff. Gabriel turned toward him. My son is alive because that waitress ignored my instructions. Caleb's face became unreadable. Lena moved toward the chairs. The strength left her legs as soon as she sat. Dante approached and handed her a bottle of water. Thank you. You should let someone examine you. I was not attacked. You spent an hour in freezing weather. I missed the warm part of the experience. He sat beside her. Dante was older than she had first assumed, perhaps 40. A narrow scar ran from his left ear toward his jaw. He glanced at the blood on her hands. You knew how to keep him still. I started emergency medical training. Started. I did not finish. You remembered enough. Lena looked through the glass. Enough is a dangerous word in a hospital. A police detective arrived with a child protection specialist. The detective introduced herself as Renee Caldwell. Caleb intercepted them before they reached Gabriel. Mr. Knox will provide a statement when his son is stable. Detective Caldwell looked at him. And you are Caleb Mercer. I asked your role, not your name. Dante almost smiled. Caleb did not. I manage security for Knox River Holdings. Then I will need your statement too. This is not a corporate matter. No, it is the kidnapping of a minor. Gabriel approached. Detective Caldwell studied him without visible fear. Mr. Knox, the hospital reported injuries consistent with abduction and assault. My son was taken outside my home. Who had access to his route? My security staff. How many people? Too many, apparently. Caleb looked toward him. Gabriel continued. You will receive the route records. Caleb stepped closer. We should review them first. Detective Caldwell turned. Why to remove irrelevant security details? Evidence becomes less useful after interested parties edit it. Gabriel looked at Dante. Give her the original records. Caleb's jaw moved. Lena noticed. It was a small reaction, not anger, calculation. Detective Caldwell asked to speak with Lena. They moved into a quiet consultation room. Lena described finding Owen, the position of his body, the phone near the dumpster, the condition of his clothing, the call to Gabriel, the words Owen had spoken before losing consciousness. Silas Boone, the Black Stag. Detective Caldwell wrote everything down. Did anyone else hear him say those things? Gabriel heard some of it. Did Mr. Knox instruct you not to call emergency services? Yes. The pen stopped. What did you do? I called anyway. Were you afraid of him? Lena thought about Gabriel dropping to his knees in the snow. Yes. But you ignored him. Owen needed an ambulance more than I needed Gabriel to approve of me. Detective Caldwell closed the notebook. Do you know what the Black Stag represents? No. Did Owen explain it? He said it belonged to his father's people. The detective studied her. Men connected to Knox River Holdings do not usually cooperate with police. I do not work for Knox River Holdings. Not yet. Lena looked at her. What does that mean? It means powerful men often create obligations before people realize they have accepted them. Lena thought about the black card in her apron, the private number, the vehicles in the alley. I did not ask him for anything. That does not mean he will not offer. The interview ended after midnight. When Lena returned to the corridor, Gabriel was speaking quietly with Caleb. The word Silas moved between them. Caleb saw her and lowered his voice. Lena sat near the treatment room. 10 minutes later, Dr. Porter emerged. Owen is awake. Gabriel moved toward the door. The doctor stopped him. He is confused and frightened. One person at first. I am his father. Yes. Gabriel entered. Lena watched through the narrow window. Owen lay beneath several blankets with one knee supported by a brace. Bruising darkened his face. Gabriel sat beside him. He reached for his son's hand. Owen pulled it closer to his chest. The movement was small. Gabriel noticed. He lowered his own hand. They spoke for several minutes. Then Owen looked toward the door. Gabriel followed his gaze. He came into the corridor. He is asking for you. Lena stood. Caleb looked toward Gabriel. You are letting her question him. I am letting my son see the person he asked for. Lena entered the room. Owen's eyes moved toward her. You stayed. I said I would keep you awake. You made that difficult. A faint smile touched his mouth. Then pain replaced it. Lena sat. How do you feel? Like I lost a fight. You were outnumbered. That still counts. Gabriel remained near the wall. Owen looked at him. Can Lena stay? Yes. Dr. Porter checked the monitor. You may speak for 5 minutes. No pressure. No repeated questions. Detective Caldwell waited outside with the child protection specialist. Owen looked toward the door. Are they police? Yes, Gabriel said. Are you going to make them leave? Gabriel's face became still. No. The answer surprised Owen. He looked toward Lena. She asked, Do you remember the van? Owen nodded. It smelled bad, like wet cleaning stuff, strong enough to hurt. Did you see anyone's face? Not clearly. He closed his eyes. One man had a tattoo, the stag black, on his wrist. Did you know him? No. Gabriel stepped forward. Think carefully. Owen opened his eyes. I am. Gabriel stopped. Lena looked at him. He stepped back again. Owen continued. One of them called another man Marcus. Gabriel and Dante exchanged a look through the glass. Lena asked, Did they say Silas Boone's name? Yes. How many times? Owen frowned. 3. Did they say it naturally? He looked at her. What does that mean? Did they talk like people having a real conversation? Or like they wanted you to remember? Owen considered it. The second one. Gabriel's attention sharpened. What exactly did they say? One said Silas would be pleased. Another said Silas wanted Dad angry. Owen swallowed. They kept saying his whole name. Lena looked toward Gabriel. People who knew each other rarely repeated full names in private. Owen continued. One man checked my pulse before they left. Why? He said I was still good. Lena's stomach tightened. What did that mean? They wanted me alive. Gabriel's face changed. Owen saw it. Dad. Gabriel moved closer. You are safe. That is not what I was going to say. He waited. Do not kill Silas. Caleb appeared behind the glass. Gabriel looked toward him, then back at Owen. He may have ordered this. He may not have. You heard his name. They wanted me to hear it. Gabriel stood very still. Owen looked toward Lena. Tell him. Lena felt the weight of every person beyond the door. She chose her words carefully. You are being handed every answer. Caleb entered before Dr. Porter could stop him. This is not the time for theories. Lena turned toward him. That is exactly what the attack was built to prevent. His expression hardened. What are you suggesting? They said Silas Boone's name where Owen could hear it. They showed him a mark only Gabriel's people carry. They left him behind Gabriel's restaurant where someone knew I had his private number. Caleb looked at Gabriel. She is making assumptions. Lena continued. They closed his coat, put him on his side, checked his pulse, left his phone in the light. Owen watched her. They wanted him found, she said. They wanted him alive enough to speak. Someone wants Gabriel angry before he becomes curious. The room became quiet. Gabriel looked at his son. Owen extended one hand. After a moment, Gabriel took it. I will investigate first, he said. Owen searched his face. That means no one dies tonight. Gabriel looked toward Caleb, then toward the police beyond the glass. No one dies tonight. Caleb left the room without speaking. Dr. Porter ordered everyone out so Owen could rest. Gabriel remained in the corridor while Lena stood near the elevator. She should have gone home. Her shift started again in less than 8 hours. Valerie would be waiting. The apartment would still be cold. None of those facts felt connected to the woman who had spent the night inside hospital corridors guarded by armed men. Dante approached with a black folder. He handed it to Gabriel. What is that? Lena asked. No one answered. Gabriel opened the folder. She saw her own name, Lena Hart. Beneath it appeared her address, her employment history, Valerie's diagnosis, the unfinished emergency medical program, the overdue rent, the pharmacy assistance application. Lena took the folder from his hands. Pages turned beneath her fingers. Every private struggle had been organized into clean sections. You investigated me. Gabriel looked at her. Yes. My mother's medical records are in here. Only public and legally obtained information. You searched everything I could not afford to hide. You were alone with my son. I saved your son. Both can be true. Lena closed the folder. So can this. You can be grateful and still be wrong. Gabriel looked toward the treatment room. I needed to know whether you were connected to the attack. You could have asked. People lie. Files lie too. They only do it with better formatting. Dante looked away. Gabriel remained silent. Lena held out the folder. He did not take it. You had no right. I had a reason. A reason is not permission. The words seemed to reach him. Slowly. Gabriel accepted the folder. You are right. Lena had prepared for an argument. The admission made her angrier. That was quick. It was not easy. It should have been. Yes. He looked at her directly. I am sorry. The apology sounded unused. She believed that was why it mattered. Dante's phone vibrated. He read the message. The men who took Owen knew Lena found him. Gabriel's face changed. How a camera across the alley recorded her entering. Someone accessed the feed before police secured it. Lena looked toward the elevator. Who we do not know. Gabriel moved closer. You cannot go home. No, it is not safe. You do not get to decide that. The men who attacked my son know your name and address. That part is your fault. Yes. The answer stopped her. Gabriel continued. I am not ordering you. It sounds like one. What will make you feel safe? The question changed the room. Lena looked at him. A place my mother can come. Yes. No guards inside. Yes. No cameras in bedrooms or bathrooms. There are none. I want that in writing. You will have it. No one touches my phone. Yes. I can leave whenever I want. Yes. And you do not use my mother's illness to make me stay. Gabriel's eyes lowered briefly toward the folder. I will not. Lena studied him. Ask me properly. His jaw tightened. Then he said, Will you stay in a protected apartment until we know who accessed the camera? She thought about Valerie alone in Corktown. Yes, if my mother agrees. Valerie did not agree quickly. She arrived at the apartment before dawn, wearing a wool coat and an expression that made Dante step aside without being asked. The apartment occupied the top floor of a quiet building near the river. It contained 2 bedrooms, a stocked kitchen, and windows overlooking snow moving above the dark water. Valerie walked through every room. She opened closets, checked locks, looked beneath one lamp for a camera. Gabriel waited near the entrance. Finally, Valerie faced him. You arrange people's lives quickly. I arrange emergencies. This is my daughter's life. I know. Do you? Gabriel looked toward Lena. Valerie continued. You found my medical information. Yes. Without asking me. Yes. Do not do it again. Gabriel nodded. I will not. You are used to helping people before they answer. I am used to time being expensive. Then learn the difference between an emergency and someone else's life. Gabriel accepted the correction without anger. Valerie looked at Lena. You trust him? No. Gabriel did not react. Valerie glanced toward him. Good. Trust should arrive after evidence. Gabriel left the apartment at sunrise. Dante remained downstairs. No one stood inside. Lena slept for 3 hours, then returned to the hospital. Owen was awake and demanding real food. Dr. Porter refused. Gabriel sat beside the window with coffee he had not touched. Caleb stood near the door speaking with Dante. When Lena entered, Owen smiled. Did you sleep a little? Dad did not. Gabriel looked toward him. You were unconscious. I woke up twice. Lena sat beside the bed. Dr. Porter entered with Detective Caldwell. The detective asked Owen to describe the attack formally. A child specialist recorded the interview. Gabriel remained silent while Owen spoke. He did not interrupt. He did not correct. Lena saw the effort in the way his hands remained closed on his knees. When the interview ended, Detective Caldwell asked to review security footage from the estate. Caleb answered first. There was a system interruption. For how long? 4 minutes. Convenient. It was a software failure. Dante looked at him. We have not confirmed that. Caleb's eyes hardened. Gabriel stood. Give her everything. Caleb followed him into the hall. Police access will expose our network. My son was taken through that network. We can investigate internally. We did. Gabriel looked through the glass at Owen. It failed. The evidence review began that afternoon in a secured hospital office. Dante displayed footage from the estate. Owen stepped from the sedan. The camera image froze. 4 minutes later, the side entrance appeared empty. A second camera showed a dark van leaving through a service road. The license plate had been covered. Detective Caldwell examined the system logs. The interruption was not random. Dante nodded. Someone replaced the live feed with a recording. Who had access? 7 people. Caleb stood behind them, possibly more through outside contractors. Lena watched him. Every time the investigation moved inward, he pointed outward. They reviewed the alley footage next. Owen's body appeared beneath the security light. A figure leaned over him. The face remained hidden. Lena moved closer to the screen. Go back. Dante reversed the video. The man pulled Owen's coat closed. Again. He played it once more. The figure rolled Owen onto his side. Gabriel's eyes narrowed. They were protecting his airway, Lena said. Detective Caldwell nodded. Basic emergency positioning. Dante froze the image. The attacker placed Owen's phone near the dumpster. Not hidden, not discarded, placed where the light reached it. Lena looked at Gabriel. They did not leave him to disappear. Caleb spoke from behind them. They wanted him found after Boone made his point. Lena turned. You keep finishing Silas Boone's sentences for him. The room became quiet. Caleb smiled without warmth. You have known this world for one night, and you have known it long enough to guide every conclusion. Gabriel looked between them. Caleb's expression returned to calm. I am trying to prevent another attack. So am I, Lena said. That is why I am asking who benefits if Gabriel starts a war. Caleb looked at Gabriel. Your waitress is becoming bold. Gabriel's voice remained quiet. She has a name. Caleb said nothing more. The evidence from Silas Boone arrived that evening. His men had been recorded entering a private gambling room in Toledo 2 hours before Owen was taken. Vehicle records showed them remaining there until morning. The proof did not make Silas innocent of every crime. It made him unlikely to have ordered this one. Gabriel agreed to meet him at a neutral warehouse near the river. Lena remained at the hospital with Owen. She listened through a secure audio connection beside Dante and Detective Caldwell. Silas's voice entered through the speaker. You brought police into family business. My son is not family business. That sounds like Rebecca. Gabriel's silence changed. Silas continued. I did not touch your boy. Someone used your name. Then someone wants you looking across the river. Who look behind you? Caleb shifted near the warehouse microphone. Silas's voice sharpened. Someone wants you to burn my house while he empties yours. Gabriel ended the meeting without violence. For the first time in years, 2 armed organizations left the same building without a body between them. Dante began reviewing access records that night. Owen's route had been opened 3 times before the kidnapping. Marcus Reed accessed it at 6:12. A dispatcher accessed it at 6:40. Caleb Mercer accessed it at 6:58. Caleb claimed the record had been created after Owen disappeared. The system showed otherwise. Lena stood beside Gabriel as Dante placed the report on the table. Gabriel opened a private ledger. 10 names appeared beneath a black stag symbol. Marcus Reed, Dante Shaw, Caleb Mercer. 7 others. Lena looked through the glass wall toward Caleb. He stood in the corridor speaking to 2 security men. He did not look afraid. He looked almost relieved, as though the investigation had finally arrived at the version of the truth he had spent weeks preparing. Caleb Mercer did not look afraid. He stood beyond the glass wall with 2 security men beside him, one hand resting inside his coat pocket, his expression almost calm enough to be mistaken for innocence. Almost. Lena watched him while Gabriel closed the private ledger. 10 names. 10 men trusted with roots, money, weapons, and the places where Gabriel Knox allowed his son to sleep. One of them had placed Owen in the snow. Perhaps more than one. Dante looked toward Gabriel. What do you want to do? Gabriel's eyes remained on Caleb. Bring everyone to Bellini House. When midnight. Detective Caldwell stepped closer. You are not conducting a private execution. Gabriel turned toward her. If I wanted one, you would not be standing here. That is not reassuring. It was not meant to be. She held his gaze. Marcus Reed is already under federal surveillance. If you summon him, we follow. Gabriel glanced toward Lena. She could see the decision forming. The old instinct wanted locked doors, loyal men, and no witnesses outside his organization. The new one had no practice. He looked back at Caldwell. You may observe. That is not the same as control. No. Then this is not acceptable. Dante stepped between the tension before it hardened further. We need them in one place. We also need enough evidence to prevent the guilty man from disappearing after he realizes we are looking inward. Caldwell considered that. What room? The main dining hall, Gabriel said. No weapons inside. Caleb opened the glass door behind them. "What is happening?" No one answered immediately. His gaze moved to the ledger in Gabriel's hand, then to Detective Caldwell. "You called police into a private review." Gabriel closed the book. "I called 10 men to Bellini House." Caleb's face remained smooth. "For what?" "You will hear the question when everyone else does." Caleb looked at Lena. She saw it then. Not fear. Measurement. He was studying how much she knew. Owen remained in the hospital under guard while preparations began. Dante arranged for 2 federal agents to remain on the pediatric floor. Detective Caldwell secured warrants for Marcus Reed's phone and financial records. Gabriel returned to Owen's room before leaving. The boy was awake, though medication had made his eyes heavy. "You are going somewhere?" Owen said. Gabriel stopped beside the bed. "Yes." "To find who did it?" "Yes." Owen looked toward the hallway. "Lena, too." "She will be somewhere safe." That did not answer me. Gabriel sat. Lena stood near the window and watched him choose his words. "She helped us see things we missed." Owen studied his father. "Will anyone die?" Gabriel looked toward his son's bruised face. "No." The answer came without qualification. Owen held his gaze. "Because you promised me, because killing the wrong man would not protect you." "And the right man." Gabriel was quiet. Lena felt the room tighten. Owen waited. Gabriel finally said, "The right man will answer for what he did." It was not the answer Owen had asked for. It was the first one Gabriel could give without lying. Owen looked toward Lena. "Make sure he remembers." Lena glanced at Gabriel. "I think he will." Bellini House closed at 10. Curtis protested until Dante informed him that the building had become part of a federal investigation. The manager changed his tone immediately. Staff were sent home. The kitchen lights were lowered. Snow pressed against the front windows. At 11:30, black vehicles began arriving. The men entered alone. Each surrendered his phone at the door. Each was searched for weapons. The black stag was not displayed openly, but Lena knew where it lived. A wrist, a shoulder, the inside of a forearm, a mark intended to mean loyalty. She sat inside the upstairs office with Detective Caldwell Dante and 2 federal agents. 4 monitors showed the dining room from different angles. Gabriel stood near the center beneath the low gold lights. 10 chairs faced him. Caleb entered last. He gave his phone to the agent at the door and looked toward the cameras. For 1 second, his gaze appeared to meet Lena's through the lens. Then he sat. Marcus Reed occupied the chair nearest the wall. He was broad, pale, and sweating despite the cold room. Lena recognized nothing in his face. Owen had not seen him clearly. The black stag appeared when Marcus pushed back one sleeve. Gabriel waited until the doors were locked. "No one leaves until I know who touched my son." Silence settled over the room. Caleb leaned back slightly. Marcus stared at the table. Gabriel placed Owen's route record beside a stack of printed reports. 3 men accessed his transport schedule before he was taken. His eyes moved across the group. Marcus Reed, Thomas Vale, Caleb Mercer. Thomas Vale, the dispatcher, lifted both hands. "I checked the route because of the construction closure." Dante spoke through the room speaker. "The closure was entered after your access." Thomas looked toward the ceiling. "You are listening from upstairs." "Answer the question," Gabriel said. Thomas swallowed. "I was told to verify the timing." "By whom?" "Marcus." Every face turned. Marcus looked at Thomas. "You are lying." Thomas stood. "I have a wife and 2 daughters. So do half the men in this room. I did not know what the route was for." Marcus rose. Gabriel's voice cut across the room. "Sit." Both men obeyed. Detective Caldwell checked a message on her phone. "Financial warrant cleared," she said. One of the agents opened a laptop. Marcus's accounts appeared on the screen. A transfer of $80,000 had entered a private account 2 days before Owen's kidnapping. The sender was a company called North Channel Distribution. Dante searched the business registry. "It is a shell." "Connected to whom?" Lena asked. He entered another search. "Registered through a law office used by Knox Logistics." Caleb spoke from the dining room. "This proves Marcus was paid through our network. It does not prove who sent it." His voice carried no surprise. Lena leaned closer to the monitor. Marcus looked toward Caleb for less than a second. The movement was quick. It was enough. Detective Caldwell noticed it too. "Bring up Marcus's phone extraction." Messages filled the laptop. Most had been deleted. Several fragments remained inside cloud storage. A photograph of Owen's wrote, a message giving the time of arrival, instructions to leave the boy behind Bellini House. The sender appeared as an unregistered number. Marcus pressed both hands against the table. "This is fabricated." Gabriel approached him. "Who paid you?" "No one." "Who gave you the route? I accessed it myself." Why Marcus's breathing changed. "Silas Boone." Caleb sat very still. Marcus continued. "Boone wanted pressure on the river terminals." Gabriel stopped in front of him. "Silas has proven where his people were. He used outsiders. You said Boone paid you." "Yes. The money came from a company connected to my own logistics office. He has people everywhere." Caleb leaned forward. "We are wasting time. Marcus betrayed us. Boone paid him through a shell and expected the trail to lead inward. His anger arrived cleanly. Too cleanly." He struck the table with one hand. "We should have moved the moment Owen said Boone's name." The other men shifted. Some looked at Marcus with disgust. Others looked toward Gabriel, waiting to learn which emotion was safe. Lena watched Caleb. He was not reacting to the evidence. He was directing it. "He is performing," she said. Dante glanced at her. "What?" "He is not watching Marcus." On the monitor, Caleb looked only at Gabriel. Lena continued. "He is checking whether Gabriel believes him." Detective Caldwell turned toward the screen. Caleb stood. "You trusted Marcus with your son's route. He sold it. There is your answer." Gabriel's face revealed nothing. "What do you want me to do?" Caleb did not hesitate. "Kill him. Then hit Boone before morning." The room became quiet. Marcus looked toward Caleb. Fear entered his face for the first time. Not fear of Gabriel, fear of being left alone. Gabriel saw it. So quickly he asked. Caleb's jaw tightened. "He helped kidnap Owen. You do not want to hear who gave him the order. He already said Boone. Then why is he looking at you?" Every head turned. Marcus lowered his eyes. Caleb smiled faintly. "Because he knows I will not defend him." Gabriel stepped closer. "You defend every useful man. Marcus is no longer useful." The sentence struck Marcus harder than a fist. He looked up. "You said I would be protected." No one moved. Caleb's expression remained calm. "Be careful." Marcus laughed once, a broken sound. "You promised my brother would be moved out of federal custody." Gabriel looked toward Caleb. Caleb's voice became colder. "You are frightened and confused." Marcus stood again. "You arranged the driver. You chose the alley. You said the waitress would make the call." The room erupted. Men moved from their chairs. Federal agents entered through the side doors. Gabriel raised one hand. Everyone stopped. Caleb remained seated. He looked almost disappointed. "You believe him?" Gabriel looked toward the cameras. "Search Caleb's phone." An agent upstairs held up the device collected at the entrance. The extraction showed calls, calendar entries, and corporate messages. Nothing connected to the kidnapping. Caleb looked toward the ceiling. You see Lena kept watching him? At Bellini House, Caleb had used a second phone while speaking with the driver. She remembered the shape of it in his hand beneath the awning, not the polished black device now lying on the evidence table. A smaller one. Gray. He has another phone, she said. Dante turned. Where I saw it at the restaurant, the night Owen was taken. Caleb's eyes moved toward the camera again. Dante stood. Search his vehicle. One federal agent left the office with him. Caleb remained in the dining room. He folded his hands. Marcus sat down slowly. Gabriel did not look away from his oldest friend. Minutes passed. Snow tapped against the windows. A message arrived on Detective Caldwell's phone. Dante's voice came through the speaker. We found a device beneath the rear seat. Caleb closed his eyes. Only once. The phone appeared on the upstairs evidence table 5 minutes later. It required a code. Dante placed it before Gabriel's camera. 4 digits. Lena thought about Caleb's habits. Men who believed themselves careful still chose numbers tied to memory. Gabriel spoke. Rebecca's birthday. Dante entered the date. The phone unlocked. Caleb looked toward Gabriel. Something old passed between them. Not guilt. Grief. The device contained no names, only numbers, payments to Marcus, a photograph of Owen's route, a map of the alley, instructions to mention Silas Boone, a message sent after Lena called Gabriel. The witness has him. Begin the second phase. Detective Caldwell read it twice. Gabriel entered the dining room. The federal agents remained near the walls. The other men were moved into an adjoining room. Marcus stayed in his chair. Caleb did not rise. Gabriel placed the phone on the table. Why, Caleb looked at it, then at him. You already know. I want to hear you say it. Caleb leaned back. For 20 years, he had stood beside Gabriel during funerals, negotiations, shootings, arrests, and the birth of an empire along the river. Now he looked at him without loyalty. You became afraid. Gabriel's face remained still. Of what? Everything. Caleb gestured toward the dark windows. You stopped taking territory. You stopped punishing disrespect. You let Boone challenge routes that belonged to us. My son was not part of that. Your son became all of it. Gabriel took one step forward. Caleb continued. Rebecca died, and you turned the whole organization into a wall around Owen. Every choice became about risk. Every opportunity became another thing that might take you away from him. You hurt a child because I would not start a war. I hurt him because you forgot what made men fear you. Marcus looked down at the table. Gabriel's voice became quieter. You struck him. I ordered him frightened. He has fractured ribs. Marcus exceeded instructions. Marcus lifted his head. You told me pain had to look real. Caleb turned toward him. I told you not to damage him permanently. Owen's body beneath the hospital blankets entered Lena's mind. His swollen face, his shaking hands, the way he had asked whether anyone would die because of him. Gabriel moved closer. Caleb watched him with something like hope. You know I am right, Caleb said. The city has been waiting to see whether Gabriel Knox still exists. Gabriel stopped. What did war give you? Caleb smiled. Control. You already had control of logistics. Not enough. There it was. Not loyalty. Not grief. Hunger. Caleb stood. If you attacked Boone, every vehicle, weapon, and river route would move through me. Your political protection would fracture. Your captains would choose the man keeping them alive. You. Yes. You planned to take the organization. I planned to save it. From me. From the father you became. Gabriel looked at the man who had stood beside him longer than anyone still alive. How long Caleb's expression shifted. Since Rebecca. Gabriel's hand closed around his throat. The movement was so fast the agents raised their weapons. Caleb did not resist. Gabriel drove him against the wall. The table moved. The phone fell to the floor. Caleb's face reddened beneath Gabriel's grip. Still he smiled. You see, he managed. There you are. Gabriel tightened his hand. Lena pressed the intercom button. Gabriel. He did not move. Caleb's hands remained at his sides. He wanted this. His death would become proof that Gabriel had never changed. Lena spoke again. Do not let him decide who you become next. Gabriel's eyes shifted toward the camera. For 1 second, Lena saw everything he wanted. Caleb dead. Owen avenged. 20 years of betrayal answered in one act. Then Gabriel released him. Caleb collapsed against the wall, coughing. Federal agents moved in. They restrained him. Detective Caldwell entered the dining room. You are under arrest for conspiracy, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and attempted extortion. Caleb looked at Gabriel. You handed your own organization to the government. Gabriel stood over him. You handed my son to men who treated his pain like a business expense. They will dismantle everything. Gabriel looked around Bellini House. The locked doors, the private rooms, the men waiting to learn who would rule them. Then perhaps it was never protection. Caleb was taken through the front entrance in handcuffs. Marcus followed. Snow struck their coats as federal agents placed them into separate vehicles. The remaining men watched from inside. Gabriel returned to the dining room. He looked at the black stag tattoos carried by the men he had trusted. This mark ends tonight. No one spoke. You will cooperate with the investigation. You will provide every route account and name connected to Caleb. One man asked, and if we refuse? Gabriel looked at him. Then you will explain that refusal to federal prosecutors. The man stared back, uncertain whether Gabriel had become weaker or more dangerous. Perhaps both. The gathering ended before dawn. No bodies remained behind. No blood marked the restaurant floor. Lena left the upstairs office and entered the dining room. Gabriel stood alone beside Owen's usual table. His hand rested on the chair where his son had sat hours before the kidnapping. You believed him, Lena said. Caleb. For 20 years. Yes. That does not disappear because you found the phone. No. Gabriel looked toward the front windows. I knew his anger. I mistook it for loyalty. Lena approached slowly. You did not kill him. I wanted to. I know. I still do. She appreciated the honesty, even when it frightened her. Gabriel turned toward her. Owen may hate me when he learns how close I came. He already knows what you are capable of. That is not the same as seeing it. No. Gabriel looked at his hands. Caleb saved my life when I was 19. Lena waited. He carried me out of a warehouse after I was shot. He stood beside me when my father died. He held Owen before Rebecca did because the nurses were still working on her. The final sentence broke something in his voice. Lena looked toward the empty chair. That is why betrayal hurts. Gabriel's eyes lifted. Because it destroys the past as well as the present. No, she said. It makes you question the past. It does not change every moment inside it. He studied her. How can you know that? Because my father left when I was 15. Gabriel remained silent. He took our savings and disappeared. For years I treated every good memory like evidence that I had been stupid. Were you? I was a child. Lena glanced toward the snow beyond the glass. Someone can love you once and still choose to hurt you later. Both things can be true. Gabriel looked at the dark room. I do not know what to do with that. You do not have to do anything with it tonight. Her phone rang. The screen showed Valerie's number. Lena answered immediately. Mom. A stranger spoke. Is this Lena Hart? Her body became cold. Yes. My name is Alice. I live across from your mother. She collapsed in the hallway. The restaurant disappeared around Lena. Is she conscious? Barely. The ambulance is here. Which hospital? Detroit receiving. Lena ended the call and grabbed her coat. Gabriel was already moving. I will drive. No. He stopped. Lena looked at him. The old answer had arrived from fear. She corrected herself. I need you to ask. His face changed. Will you let me take you? Yes. They reached the hospital in 9 minutes. Gabriel did not use sirens. He did not close streets. He drove too fast. But he remained beside Lena instead of turning the city into another command. Valerie lay inside an examination room connected to fluids. Her skin appeared gray beneath the lights. Dr. Warren arrived shortly after sunrise. He reviewed the blood tests and latest scans. The treatment is no longer controlling the disease. Lena sat beside her mother. Valerie's hand felt light in hers. What does that mean? Lena asked. We need another option. The Cleveland program. Yes. Can she enter? I spoke with the coordinator. There is a place available. Relief rose too quickly. Then Dr. Warren continued. The financial approval is still unresolved. Lena looked toward the floor. Gabriel stood near the door. He said nothing. That silence mattered. Dr. Warren explained the transport medical review and estimated cost. Lena wrote each figure inside her notebook. The numbers blurred. Valerie squeezed her hand. Stop writing. I need to understand. You understand. No, I understand that they have treatment and we do not have money. Gabriel stepped closer. I can help. Lena looked at him. He did not reach for the chart. He did not call anyone. He waited. Valerie watched him. How, she asked. There is an independent patient assistance trust connected to one of my legal companies. It can fund treatment without placing either of you under contract. Lena stood. What does it require? An application. Who controls it? An outside board. Can you stop the treatment? No. Can you access her records only if Valerie signs permission? Valerie looked at him carefully. You learned quickly. Gabriel glanced toward Lena. I was corrected clearly. Valerie almost smiled. Lena closed the notebook. If we accept, it cannot depend on whether I work for you. It will not. Or whether I see you. It will not. Or whether you approve of my choices. It will not. Gabriel held her gaze. You can have the agreement reviewed by any attorney you choose. Lena looked toward her mother. Valerie nodded. Yes, she said. We want the application. Gabriel took out his phone. He did not call until Valerie gave permission. The transfer process began before noon. Valerie slept while nurses prepared medication. Lena stood near the window. Gabriel joined her. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then he said, Rebecca had cancer. Lena looked at him. Owen's mother. Yes. What kind? Pancreatic. The word entered the room softly. Gabriel watched snow collect on the hospital roof. I found specialists in 3 cities. I moved appointments, paid for trials, threatened an insurance director who delayed approval. Did it help? Some of it. His jaw tightened. She asked me to sit beside her. I kept leaving the room to manage the people trying to save her. Lena looked toward Valerie's bed. I thought love meant finding another door, Gabriel said. Another doctor. Another amount of money. Money can open a door. He looked at her. It cannot sit beside someone when they are afraid. Gabriel lowered his eyes. I am learning that. Lena saw the scar near his knuckles. A life built from force. A father trying to teach the same hands a different language. He lifted one of them toward her, then stopped. May I? The question remained between them. Lena looked at his hand, then at his face. Yes. Gabriel took her hand. No demand entered the touch. No promise followed it. His fingers closed carefully around hers. For one quiet moment, the hospital room held nothing larger than two frightened people standing beside someone they could not command into healing. Dante appeared at the door. His expression ended the silence. Gabriel released Lena immediately. What happened? Dante held up his phone. Federal agents searched Caleb's storage unit. Gabriel waited. They found 3 contingency plans. Lena's stomach tightened. One includes Owen's hospital transfer schedule. Gabriel's face became cold. Who has it? Dante looked toward Valerie sleeping beneath the white blanket. We do not know. Dante's answer settled over the hospital room. Gabriel stood beside Valerie's bed, his face becoming still in the way Lena had learned to fear. The anger did not disappear. It moved inward, becoming quieter and more precise. What exactly did they find, he asked. Dante unlocked his phone and placed it on the table. 3 plans. One targeted Owen's school. One targeted the Grosse Pointe estate. The third targeted his transfer to the surgical center. Lena looked at him. Surgical center, Owen's knee requires repair. The hospital scheduled the procedure for next week. Who had the schedule, Caleb? And now Dante looked toward Gabriel. At least 4 men who remained loyal to him. Gabriel reached for the phone. Dante did not release it. We have to assume they know the route, the vehicle, the medical staff, and the time. Change everything. We are. Move the surgery. The surgeon is available Tuesday. Bring another surgeon. Lena watched fear become command again. Dante spoke carefully. Owen needs the team that has been monitoring him. I can bring them to the estate. No, Lena said. Gabriel looked at her. She stood near the window, one hand still resting against the chair beside Valerie's bed. Your estate was breached through its own security system. My son will not travel through an exposed route. Then do not make the route obvious. Gabriel's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, a normal vehicle? No. 1 driver. Owen, a nurse, and 1 person he trusts. No. 2 support cars far enough away that no one can identify the center vehicle. No. Dante looked between them. Lena continued. A convoy announces where he is. Armed men at every intersection tell Caleb's people exactly which vehicle matters. Gabriel stepped closer. You are asking me to place my son inside 1 car after he was taken from one. I am asking you to stop building plans around what makes you feel powerful. His expression hardened. Valerie stirred beneath the blanket. Lena lowered her voice. Build the plan around what makes Owen harder to find. Dante nodded. She is right. Gabriel turned toward him. You agree with this? I agree that 12 black vehicles will be visible from 3 miles away. Gabriel looked through the hospital window at snow drifting over the city. For several seconds he said nothing. Then he asked, Who rides with him? Dr. Porter wants a pediatric nurse, Dante said. Federal agents will control the route. And Lena, Gabriel said. Lena looked at him. He corrected himself. If she agrees. The change was small. Dante noticed it. So did Valerie, though her eyes remained closed. Lena considered Owen waking from anesthesia in a room filled with strangers. Yes. Gabriel nodded. He did not thank her. The relief in his face said enough. Valerie was transferred to Cleveland the next morning. The Patient Assistance Trust approved the application after an independent medical review. Gabriel signed nothing on Valerie's behalf. He did not speak to the doctors until Valerie gave written permission. Lena sat beside her mother inside the medical transport vehicle. Gabriel remained outside. He had arranged the funding. He did not arrange the goodbye. Valerie looked through the open door at him. "You can come closer," she said. Gabriel approached. "You did not have to do this." "Yes, I did." Valerie studied him. "No, you wanted to." He considered the correction. "Yes." "That makes it different." Gabriel looked toward Lena. Valerie followed his gaze. "My daughter does not owe you her life because you helped save mine." "I know. Do you—" "I am trying to." Valerie reached for his hand. The gesture surprised him. "You are allowed to care for people," she said. "You are not allowed to turn care into ownership." Gabriel lowered his head. Understood. The transport doors closed. Lena watched him disappear behind the glass. For the first 2 hours of the drive, Valerie slept. Lena answered messages from Dr. Porter and Dante. Owen was asking when she would return. Gabriel had remained at the hospital with him. No meetings, no river contracts, no men waiting outside the room for instructions. Lena read that message twice. She placed the phone face down. Valerie opened her eyes. "You like him?" Lena looked toward the road. "You are supposed to be resting." "That is not a denial." "He is dangerous." "That is also not a denial." "He investigated me without permission." "Yes." "He controls people." "Yes." "He has hurt people." Valerie's face became serious. "Yes." Lena looked down at her hands. "He is trying to change." "Trying matters. It is not enough." "No." Valerie shifted beneath the blanket. "But you are not required to decide his entire future today." Lena looked at her. "You told me later is a dangerous place to store my life. It is also where some answers belong." The treatment center in Cleveland admitted Valerie that afternoon. The specialist explained the risks without softening them. The new combination might slow the cancer. It might fail. The side effects could be severe. Valerie signed the consent forms herself. Gabriel's name appeared nowhere. Lena stayed through the first infusion, then returned to Detroit after Valerie insisted. "Owen needs familiar faces," her mother said. "So do you." "I have nurses, doctors, and a roommate who has already told me the ending of 3 television shows." Lena smiled. Valerie touched her cheek. "Go." Owen was discharged from the hospital 2 days later. He returned to the Grosse Pointe estate until the swelling in his knee decreased enough for surgery. The house had changed. Federal agents occupied the security office. Dante had removed 3 guards connected to Caleb. The black stag symbol was gone from the door's vehicles and private documents. Gabriel ordered every member of the inner circle to surrender the mark as a sign of rank. The tattoos could not be erased in a night. Their authority could. Owen noticed the missing symbol on the security folders. "Did you get rid of it because of me?" he asked. Gabriel sat across from him in the library. "No." "Then why?" "Because I asked men to prove loyalty with a mark instead of their choices." Owen looked toward his injured knee. "Caleb had the mark." "Yes." "So did Marcus." "Yes." Owen glanced at Dante near the door. "So does he." Dante rolled up one sleeve. The black stag rested against his forearm. Owen stared at it. Dante said, "I will remove it. Does it hurt?" "Probably." Owen looked at Gabriel. "Will you make everyone do it?" "No." "Why not?" "Because forcing men to remove it would be another version of the same mistake." Owen thought about that. Dante lowered his sleeve. "The mark means nothing now." Owen nodded slowly. Lena watched from the doorway. Gabriel saw her. He did not call her into the room. He waited until Owen noticed her himself. "Lena." The boy's face brightened. She crossed the library. "How is Cleveland?" he asked. "Cold." It is cold here. Cleveland is more committed. Owen smiled. Gabriel stood. Your mother. She completed the first infusion. How did she respond? Too early to know. He nodded. No offer followed. No phone appeared in his hand. Lena understood the restraint. Owen's surgery was scheduled for Tuesday morning. The transport plan changed 6 times. Only 5 people knew the final route. Gabriel, Dante, Detective Caldwell, Dr. Porter, the federal agent supervising the case. Lena received instructions 1 hour before departure. A plain medical vehicle would leave through the eastern service gate. One support car would travel 2 blocks ahead. Another would follow at a distance. Gabriel would not ride with Owen. The decision created their first argument since Caleb's arrest. I am his father, Gabriel said. They stood inside the estate medical room while a nurse checked Owen's blood pressure. Lena kept her voice low. You are also the person Caleb's men expect beside him. Then they will attack me. Not if they want leverage. Gabriel looked toward his son. Owen was pretending not to listen. Dante entered. The route is clear. Gabriel ignored him. I should be in the vehicle. Owen looked up. Dad. Gabriel turned. I want Lena. The sentence hurt him. Owen saw it. I want you at the hospital when I get there. Gabriel remained still. That is different. Yes. Owen adjusted the blanket over his legs. If something happens on the road, you will try to fight everyone. Gabriel's face tightened. And Lena will not. She will think first. Dante looked toward the wall. Lena almost smiled. Gabriel did not. Then he walked to Owen and knelt beside the chair. I will be waiting when you arrive. You promise? Yes. Gabriel touched his son's shoulder. He did not hold him. Owen leaned forward first. Gabriel wrapped both arms around him. The medical vehicle arrived shortly after 6. Snow had fallen during the night, but the morning sky was clear. A man in gray medical clothing stood beside the rear doors. He held a clipboard and wore an identification badge from Children's Hospital. Dante checked the badge. The photograph matched. The name matched the transport manifest. The man smiled at Owen. Morning, buddy. Owen's expression changed slightly. Lena noticed. The nurse wheeled him closer. The man reached for the chair. Lena looked down. His shoes were dry. Every person crossing the courtyard had snow darkening the edges of their shoes. His were clean. She looked at the vehicle. A thin layer of frost covered the windshield. The engine had not been running long. Which entrance are we using? Lena asked. The man glanced at her. South Surgical. Dr. Porter said East Pediatric. He smiled again. She changed it. When? 20 minutes ago. Lena looked at the badge. What is Owen's surgeon's name? The man's eyes moved toward Dante. Dr. Warren. Dr. Warren treated Valerie. Owen's surgeon was Dr. Melissa Grant. Lena stepped between the chair and the vehicle. Dante. The man dropped the clipboard. His hand moved beneath his coat. Dante reached him first. They struck the side of the vehicle. The nurse pulled Owen backward. A second man emerged from the driver's door. Federal agents moved from the support car. Hands where we can see them. The driver ran toward the service building. One agent followed. The false medical worker drove his elbow into Dante's jaw and reached again beneath his coat. Lena moved Owen behind a stone column. Stay down. Gunfire cracked across the courtyard. The nurse covered Owen's body with hers. Gabriel appeared at the front entrance. 2 agents blocked him. He saw Owen on the ground. Every part of him changed. Lena shouted his name. He looked toward her. Owen is safe. The words reached him before violence did. Dante forced the false worker face down against the snow. An agent removed a handgun from beneath the man's coat. The driver was caught near the service building. Gabriel crossed the courtyard. He dropped beside Owen. "Are you hurt, no? Did anyone touch you?" "No." Gabriel checked his face, arms, and chest anyway. Owen caught his wrist. "Dad." Gabriel stopped. "I am okay." Lena watched him believe the words, one breath at a time. The federal supervisor approached. The original transport crew was stopped 3 miles away. Their vehicle was forced off the road. "Are they alive?" Lena asked. "Yes. One driver has a broken arm." Gabriel looked at the arrested man. "Who sent you?" The man smiled through blood. Gabriel rose. Dante placed himself in front of him. "Federal custody. He came onto my property and failed." Gabriel looked toward Owen. The boy watched from behind the nurse. Gabriel stepped back. "Take him." The agents removed both attackers. The surgery was delayed by 2 hours. A new vehicle arrived with personnel confirmed directly by Dr. Porter. This time, Gabriel did not approach it until Lena had checked the names herself. Owen looked at him from the rear seat. "You will be there?" "Yes." The doors closed. Gabriel watched the vehicle leave. He did not follow until Dante confirmed the support cars were in position. At the hospital, Dr. Melissa Grant explained the procedure. The damaged structures inside Owen's knee required repair. The surgery would also allow the team to examine nerve function affected during the assault. Owen listened without interrupting. When the surgeon asked whether he had questions, he looked at Gabriel. "What if I cannot run again?" Gabriel answered before the doctor could. "You will." Dr. Grant looked at him. "We expect a strong recovery, but rehabilitation will take time." Owen continued watching his father. Gabriel corrected himself. "We will do everything the doctors recommend." "That was not my question." Gabriel sat beside the bed. "If running changes, we will face that." Owen nodded. Lena stood near the door. The difference between certainty and presence was only a few words. It had taken Gabriel years to hear it. Before the nurses took Owen into surgery, he reached for Lena with one hand and Gabriel with the other. "Both of you stay." Lena squeezed his fingers. "Yes." Gabriel lowered his head. "I will be here when you wake." The doors closed behind the surgical team. Dante's phone rang before Gabriel reached the waiting area. He listened, then moved several feet away. Gabriel followed him. But the arrested driver is talking, and Caleb established a backup location at an abandoned equipment warehouse near Zug Island. 6 men are there. Weapons cache and copies of Owen's schedule. Gabriel looked toward the elevators. Dante continued. "The task force is preparing a raid. They want someone who knows the building." "You do?" "Yes." "When do we leave?" Dante did not answer. Gabriel looked at him. "Owen is in surgery. The raid begins in 20 minutes. Gabriel glanced toward the operating room doors. Lena watched the conflict move through him. The warehouse, the men who had come for his son, a place where anger could move freely. Behind the doors, Owen lay unconscious beneath surgical lights. "Go with the task force," Gabriel said. Dante studied him. "And you, I am staying. You know the southern access better than I do. Then use the plans." Gabriel. "My son asked me to be here when he wakes." Dante looked toward Lena. She said nothing. This choice did not belong to her. Gabriel continued. "Give them everything. Rotes rooms, hidden exits. And if they ask whether to take the men alive?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "Tell them yes." Dante left with 2 federal agents. Gabriel entered the waiting room. He sat. His phone remained in his hand for several minutes. Then he turned it off. Lena sat across from him. "You are not going." "No." "Do you want to?" "Yes." "Why stay?" He looked toward the closed doors. Because every loss in my life began while I was somewhere else. Rebecca. He nodded. I was handling a dispute near the port when the hospital called. I believed the meeting could not continue without me. And Owen? I watched his car leave the restaurant. Security confirmed he entered the house. I believed the system could not fail without me knowing. Lena looked at his dark phone. Being present does not mean controlling the outcome. Gabriel leaned back. What does it mean, staying when you cannot command anything? The answer did not comfort him. It was not supposed to. An hour passed, then another. Gabriel stood each time the operating room doors opened. Each time a nurse walked toward another family, he began asking the desk for updates every 10 minutes. The third time, Lena touched his arm. You are making everyone in this room carry your panic. His eyes moved toward her. My son is in surgery. So is someone else's daughter. Gabriel looked across the waiting room. A woman sat alone near the wall holding a child's red coat. He returned to his chair. His hands remained closed. Lena sat beside him. He did not ask her to hold them. She did anyway. Dante called during the 4th hour. Gabriel answered on speaker. The warehouse is secure. How many 6 arrested? 2 injured. No federal casualties. Did they surrender? 4 did. And the others alive. Gabriel closed his eyes briefly. Dante continued. We found Caleb's records. Payments, city officials, customs officers, freight routes, everything. How far back? 12 years. Gabriel looked toward the floor. The organization had existed longer than Owen. Longer than Rebecca's illness. Longer than Gabriel's belief that he controlled it. Federal prosecutors are asking whether you will cooperate, Dante said. Gabriel remained quiet. They can separate legitimate companies from the criminal network, Dante continued, but they want full access to everything. Yes, that includes me. Yes. Gabriel looked toward Lena. She released his hand. Not because she was leaving, because the decision needed empty space. What happens to the workers? Gabriel asked. The court can appoint independent management. Payroll can continue. Medical insurance if the companies remain operating. And Owen. He will never inherit criminal assets. Gabriel looked through the waiting room window at the winter city. For years he had called the organization a shield. Caleb had used the same shield to reach his child. Tell them I will meet, he said. Dante was silent. You understand what that means? Yes. Charges? Yes. Supervision? Yes. You may lose every company carrying your name. Gabriel looked toward the surgical doors. Then the name will have to survive without owning everything. The call ended. Dr. Grant entered the waiting room 30 minutes later. Gabriel stood. Lena stood beside him. The surgeon removed her cap. The repair was successful. Gabriel did not move. Dr. Grant continued. The nerve was compressed but not severed. With rehabilitation, I expect Owen to regain full function. Can we see him? When recovery clears him. Gabriel sat slowly. His body seemed to understand relief before his face did. Lena touched his shoulder. He looked at her. No words arrived. They did not need to. Owen woke in a private recovery room. His eyes opened slowly. Gabriel sat beside the bed. Lena stood near the window. Owen looked at his father first. You stayed? Yes. Did they find the men? The federal agents did? You did not go? No. Owen's eyes closed briefly. Good. Gabriel lowered his head. When Owen opened his eyes again, he looked toward Lena. Mom. She is in Cleveland. Is she okay? She finished the first treatment. Owen nodded. Then he looked back at Gabriel. Can I ask you something? Anything. Did the kidnapping start because your guards failed? Gabriel hesitated. No. Owen waited. It began before that, Gabriel said. When I allowed your life to become information other men controlled. Lena remained still. Gabriel continued. Your roots, your school, your friends. I called it protection, but I never asked what it felt like to you. Owen looked toward the monitor. It felt like everyone knew where I was except me. Gabriel's face tightened. I am sorry. Are there still guards? Yes. Owen looked disappointed. Farther away, Gabriel said, and you will know their names, their locations, and why they are there. Can I say when it is too much? Yes. Will you listen? Gabriel looked at him. I will practice. Owen almost smiled. That means sometimes no. It means sometimes I will be afraid. That is not the same. No. Owen reached for his hand. Gabriel took it carefully. Federal prosecutors met with Gabriel 2 days later. Lena did not attend. She remained with Owen during rehabilitation while Gabriel entered a conference room with attorneys' agents and 12 years of evidence. He agreed to surrender illegal freight routes. Legitimate Knox companies entered independent management. The Black Stag Circle was dissolved. Accounts connected to bribery and smuggling were frozen. Gabriel agreed to testify against customs officers, city officials, and contractors who had protected the organization. Cooperation did not erase his crimes. He accepted financial penalties, federal supervision, and the possibility of further charges. When he returned to Owen's room, he had removed the Knox River Holdings pin from his coat. Owen noticed. Where is it gone? Why? It represented something I no longer control. Does that bother you? Yes. Are you going to get it back? No. Owen thought about the answer. Then he returned to the puzzle on his tray. Valerie completed 3 treatment cycles in Cleveland. The cancer did not disappear. The scans showed enough improvement for the doctors to continue. Lena traveled between Detroit and Cleveland until Valerie told her to stop behaving like every goodbye was permanent. The Patient Assistance Trust continued paying the approved medical costs. No message came from Gabriel asking for anything in return. 6 weeks after Owen's surgery, Gabriel invited Lena to Harbor Room. The restaurant overlooked the river from a renovated warehouse. It was closed that afternoon. A woman in her 50s waited near the bar. She introduced herself as Nora Bishop. I operate 3 restaurants, she said. None of them hold private criminal meetings. Lena looked toward Gabriel. That was meant to reassure you, he said. It almost did. Nora placed a folder on the table. Inside was a management training offer, payroll, scheduling, purchasing, employment law, vendor negotiation, benefits. A salary larger than anything Lena had earned. She closed the folder. No. Gabriel remained calm. You have not read all of it. I do not need to. Nora looked between them. I will give you privacy. After she left, Gabriel stood near the window. Why no? Because my mother is receiving treatment through a trust you created. You signed no obligation. I know. Owen wants you near him. That cannot decide my career. I know. Do you? Gabriel looked at the river. I am trying to offer work you are qualified to learn, through a company you own. Independent management controls it. For now. He turned toward her. What would make it your choice? Lena considered the question. My own attorney. Yes. The salary goes through the management company. Yes. My mother's treatment remains separate. Yes, I can resign without losing housing protection or access to Owen. Gabriel's face changed at the final condition. Access to Owen is not employment. Put that in writing. He nodded. No private events? She continued. No serving men from your old organization. No requests that have nothing to do with the restaurant. Yes. And Nora decides whether I am capable. Not you. Gabriel looked toward the door where Nora had disappeared. She already does. Lena reopened the folder. I will let an attorney review it. That is all I am asking. No. You were asking me to accept. A faint smile touched his face. You are right. 3 weeks later, Lena began training under Nora Bishop. She learned that reading a room was useful but not sufficient. A restaurant survived through numbers, contracts, schedules, maintenance inventory, and the ability to tell an angry supplier no without losing the next delivery. Nora corrected her often. Lena did not resent it. The corrections belonged to the work, not to a debt. She left the protected apartment after receiving her second paycheck. The new apartment was small and stood above a bookstore in Midtown. The bedroom window faced an alley filled with delivery trucks and morning noise. Lena signed the lease herself. Gabriel did not provide the deposit. He did not choose the neighborhood. He did not request the address. She told him after the keys were already in her hand. He drove her there once. At the entrance, he looked toward the upper windows. No guards, she said. I know. No cameras. I know. No one across the street pretending to read a newspaper. His expression almost softened. I do not employ men who read newspapers. Gabriel. No one will watch the building. She studied him. Are you comfortable with that? No. Are you going to do it anyway? Yes. Owen visited the apartment the following Saturday with Dante waiting 1 block away. He walked through every room. It is small. It is mine. He considered the answer. Then he handed Lena a small box. Inside lay a silver stag charm. Lena looked at him. The black one belonged to Dad's organization, Owen said. This one is only family. Her fingers closed around the charm. Gabriel stood near the open door. He did not tell her what the gift meant. He did not ask her to wear it. Lena placed it beside her new apartment keys. Outside, traffic moved through the cold evening. Gabriel waited for Owen to finish saying goodbye. Then he stepped into the hallway. He did not ask Lena to follow. He did not ask when she would return. The door remained open until Lena chose to close it. For several seconds after Gabriel and Owen disappeared down the hallway, she stood with one hand on the knob and listened to their footsteps fade toward the stairs. The silver stag rested beside her apartment keys, small, cold, unclaimed by any promise she had not made. Lena closed the door gently. 8 months later, Gabriel Knox stood inside a federal courtroom without armed men behind him. Rain covered the windows. Reporters filled the benches. The court-appointed monitor sat beside Gabriel's attorney with a stack of records taken from Knox River Holdings. The illegal freight routes were gone. 3 city officials had resigned. 2 customs officers had entered guilty pleas. Marcus Reed had agreed to testify. Caleb Mercer had not. Caleb sat at the opposite table wearing a dark suit and handcuffs hidden beneath the polished wood. He looked thinner than he had at Bellini House, less powerful, no less certain. The prosecutor described payments, threats, false manifests, and the kidnapping of Owen Knox. Gabriel listened without looking away. When the judge asked whether he understood the conditions of his agreement, he stood. Yes, Your Honor. His legitimate businesses would remain under independent management. He would surrender properties linked to criminal activity. He would testify against officials and former associates. For 18 months, he would remain under home confinement, except for court appearances, medical appointments, and approved family obligations. 5 years of federal supervision would follow. The agreement did not erase everything he had done. It did not return money taken through threats or remove fear from the people who had once answered his calls. Gabriel accepted it without asking the judge to describe him as changed. Across the room, Caleb watched him. When the hearing ended, officers led Caleb toward a side exit. He stopped beside Gabriel. "You gave them everything." Gabriel looked at him. "No." Caleb smiled faintly. "You will learn what remains when men stop fearing you." Gabriel's voice stayed quiet. "I already have." For 1 second, Caleb's eyes moved toward the back row. Owen sat between Dante and Lena. He wore no dark suit, no family symbol, only a gray sweater and the brace he still used during long days. Caleb followed Gabriel's gaze. Something bitter moved across his face. Then the officers took him away. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Questions reached Gabriel from every direction. Did he regret building the Knox organization? Would his son inherit the legitimate companies? Had Lena Hart influenced his cooperation? Was he still dangerous? Gabriel answered none of them. He walked toward the waiting car. Lena remained on the courthouse steps with Owen. She no longer lived under his protection. She no longer worked inside a company he controlled. Her presence belonged entirely to her. Gabriel stopped near the curb. Owen looked at the monitoring device beneath his father's trouser leg. "Does it hurt, no? Can you leave the house only when the court allows it?" Owen studied him. "Is that how I felt?" The question cut through every camera and voice around them. Gabriel looked at his son. "Yes." Owen lowered his eyes. "Do you understand now more than I did?" It was not a perfect answer. Owen nodded anyway. The Grosse Pointe estate changed slowly. The walls remained. The gates remained. Fear did not vanish simply because Gabriel had signed documents in a courtroom. But the guards moved farther from Owen. No one stood outside his bedroom. The cameras near the garden were removed. The driver told Owen the route before each trip. If plans changed, someone explained why. Dr. Helen Park, a child trauma specialist, came to the estate twice each week. Her first session with Owen took place in the library. Gabriel waited outside. After 20 minutes, Dr. Park opened the door. "Owen wants you inside." Gabriel entered. His son sat near the window with a sheet of paper on his knees. A circle had been drawn in the center. Several smaller circles surrounded it. Dr. Park pointed toward the page. "Owen is mapping the people who make decisions about his life." Gabriel sat across from him. Owen pointed toward the center. "That is me." Gabriel looked at the smaller circles. Dad, Dante, school, doctors, security. Yes. "Why are they outside?" "Because everyone talks around me." Gabriel remained quiet. Owen added another circle. "Lena." He placed it beside his own. "Why is Lena closer?" Gabriel asked. "Because she asks." The answer carried no cruelty. That made it harder to hear. Dr. Park asked Gabriel what he thought protection meant. Preventing harm. And when harm cannot be prevented, Gabriel looked at Owen. Being present. Owen's pencil stopped. Dr. Park waited. Gabriel continued, listening before deciding. Owen drew a line between their circles. It was thin. It existed. Family therapy became part of their week. Sometimes Owen spoke about the van. Sometimes he described the moment he realized the men knew his father. Sometimes he said nothing at all. Gabriel learned not to fill silence with solutions. He learned that fear could enter a room without becoming an order. On Owen's first day back at school, Gabriel drove him himself. Dante sat in the front passenger seat. The school occupied a stone building near the river. Students crossed the courtyard carrying backpacks, instruments, and unfinished breakfasts. Owen remained in the car after the other children entered. Gabriel waited. "You do not have to go today," he said. Owen looked at him. Dr. Park had warned Gabriel about making escape too easy. Fear needed compassion. It also needed room to become courage. Owen opened the door. "I want to." Gabriel's hand tightened around the steering wheel. He did not follow. A teacher met Owen near the entrance. He took 3 steps, then looked back. Gabriel raised one hand. Owen entered the building. Dante glanced toward the clock. "We can leave." "I know." Neither man moved. 10 minutes later, Gabriel started the car. Owen made a friend named Theo during his 3rd week. Theo liked hockey, hated vegetables, and spoke too loudly inside libraries. He knew Owen's father owned freight companies. He did not know the rest. When Theo invited Owen to a birthday dinner, the invitation remained on Gabriel's desk for 2 days. The restaurant had 2 public entrances, a rear kitchen exit, parking shared with 4 businesses. 20 children would attend. Gabriel memorized every detail. Owen stood in the office doorway. "Can I go?" Gabriel looked at the paper. "Dante can arrange security." "That is not what I asked." Gabriel looked up. Owen's voice had begun carrying Lena's steadiness. "Yes." Owen smiled. "Can the guards stay outside?" Gabriel felt the old answer rise. "No. Immediate. Certain." He let it pass. 2 officers outside. Not at the table. Not at the table. "Will you be there? Across the street." Owen considered that. "Okay." The dinner lasted 2 hours. Gabriel sat inside a parked car while children moved behind the restaurant windows. He watched Owen laugh, watched him trade pizza for garlic bread, watched Theo place a paper crown on his head. At one point, Owen disappeared toward the restroom. Gabriel reached for the door handle. Dante looked at him. "He told us where he was going." Gabriel's hand remained on the handle. 30 seconds passed. Then Owen returned to the table. Gabriel released the handle. Nothing had happened. The ordinary moment felt more difficult than surviving gunfire. Lena's life changed without becoming easier. Harbor Room opened at 5 each evening and created a new problem every hour. A supplier delivered the wrong seafood. A dishwasher quit during service. 2 servers argued over table assignments. A customer refused to pay after finishing an entire bottle of wine. Nora Bishop gave Lena responsibility without rescuing her from mistakes. "You scheduled too many people Tuesday," Nora said one morning. "I expected the convention crowd." "You expected. You did not confirm." Lena looked at the payroll report. The mistake had cost the restaurant hundreds of dollars. "What do I do?" "Learn. That is all." "No. Cut costs somewhere that does not punish the staff for your error." Lena reviewed inventory, delayed a decorative purchase, and corrected the next schedule. 3 months later, Nora allowed her to manage an entire weekend without supervision. Lena adjusted the tip system so every employee could see the distribution. She created predictable schedules. She added paid sick leave after a cook arrived with a fever because he feared losing rent money. When a server reported that a wealthy customer had touched her, Lena removed the man from the restaurant. He threatened to call the owner. Lena handed him the telephone. "Please do." The man did not return. Gabriel heard about the incident from the independent management report. He sent no message. He did not offer to frighten the customer. The silence made Lena smile. She completed a formal restaurant management certificate that spring. The graduation ceremony took place inside a small conference hall. Valerie attended wearing a blue scarf and walking with a cane. Her treatment had not cured the cancer. The latest scans showed enough response for the doctors to continue. Her appetite had returned. So had her habit of criticizing hospital coffee. Owen sat beside her. Gabriel remained at the estate because the court had not approved the event. Lena understood. After the ceremony, she found a small white envelope inside her mailbox. The card contained only one sentence. "You built this without me, and I am proud of you. No gift, no flowers, no car waiting outside." Lena placed the card beside the silver stag. Valerie noticed it later. "You are smiling at paper." "I am not. You should tell your face." Lena folded the card. "How are you feeling?" "Do not change the subject. I am checking on you. You check on me every 7 minutes." 8. Valerie sat near the window. "You still love him?" Lena looked toward the street. "I care about him." "That is the careful version. The careful version exists for a reason." "Yes." Valerie reached for her tea. "But careful is not the same as closed." Gabriel completed 4 months of home confinement before asking Lena to dinner. He called rather than sending someone. She answered after the 3rd ring. "Hello? Hannah?" Lena smiled despite herself. "That is not my name." Silence. Then Gabriel said, "I have spent too much time reading federal documents." "You called a prosecutor Hannah number good." He exhaled quietly. "Will you have dinner with me?" As what, a man asking a woman to dinner? Not Owen's father. I cannot stop being Owen's father. You know what I mean. Yes. Lena stood beside the harbor room office window. Where you choose. No private dining room. Yes. No closed restaurant. Yes. No guards at the next table. Yes. She named a small Lebanese restaurant near her apartment. Friday at 7. Gabriel arrived at 6:50. Dante remained in a car half a block away because the court required security during approved travel. Gabriel entered alone. People looked at him. He did not ask the owner to clear the room. Lena arrived wearing a dark green coat. He stood. "You came. I said I would." They ate at a table near the window. No emergency interrupted them. No one discussed kidnapping for the first 20 minutes. They spoke about Owen's school, Valerie's television habits, the kitchen disaster at Harbor Room. Gabriel admitted he had never cooked a complete meal. "You own restaurants. I do not own Harbor Room." "You did." "Yes. And you never learned to cook." "I learned other things." "I am afraid to ask." He almost smiled. Dinner became coffee 2 weeks later, then another meal, then a walk along the river during one of Gabriel's approved family outings. Their relationship moved slowly enough to reveal discomfort. Gabriel sometimes answered questions as though preparing testimony. Lena sometimes treated every kindness like evidence of a trap. They argued. Once Gabriel referred to a dock worker he had threatened years earlier as a problem. Lena stopped walking. "A person is not a problem." Gabriel looked toward the water. "You know what I meant." "Yes, that is why I stopped." His face hardened. For 1 second the old anger entered. Then he heard himself. "You are right. Do not say it to end the argument. I am saying it because I heard the way I spoke." They returned home separately. The following morning, Gabriel sent no apology gift. He sent a message. "I described another man's fear as an inconvenience to me. I am meeting with the federal victim coordinator today." Lena read it twice. She did not answer immediately. By afternoon, she wrote back, "Thank you for hearing it." Owen's recovery continued. The brace came off. Physical therapy moved from painful steps to short runs. The first time he crossed the rehabilitation room without support, Gabriel stood near the wall. Owen reached the other side and looked toward him. Gabriel's eyes had filled. Owen smiled. "You can say something." Gabriel cleared his throat. "You did well. That is all I am trying not to make it about my feelings." Owen laughed. Lena watched from the doorway. The sound changed the room. In early winter, a threat appeared against Gabriel before his testimony in Caleb's trial. A letter reached the estate. No return address. Inside was a photograph of Owen leaving school. Another showed Lena unlocking harbor room. Gabriel's first instinct arrived fully formed. Move Lena, move Valerie, close the restaurant, bring everyone to the estate. Dante saw it in his face. What do you want to do? Gabriel looked at the photographs. His hand closed around them. Then he called Lena. She answered from the restaurant office. What happened? He told her everything. No softened version. No order hidden inside concern. Federal protection can move you and Valerie tonight, he said, to the estate. That is one option. What is the other? A secure apartment selected by the task force. Which do you prefer? The estate. Why? Because I know every door. Lena was quiet. Gabriel waited. I want the federal apartment. Fear tightened his chest. He did not argue. All right. You are not going to tell me the estate is safer. I believe it is. But you asked for the options. Not my command. Lena closed her eyes. Thank you. The federal team moved Lena and Valerie that evening. Harbor room closed for 3 days under a security review. Gabriel did not receive the address of the apartment. He asked once whether they were safe. The agent said yes. He accepted the answer. The threat came from a former contractor connected to Caleb. Federal agents arrested him near the Canadian border. No one was injured. When Lena returned home, Gabriel was waiting on a video call with Owen. He did not ask where she had been. He asked how she was feeling. That answer mattered more than an address. Caleb's trial ended in late January. He was convicted of kidnapping, conspiracy, aggravated assault, extortion, and financial crimes connected to Knox River Holdings. Marcus received a reduced sentence for his testimony. Several officials were convicted. Gabriel testified for 3 days. He named men who had once eaten at his table. He admitted to payments, threats, and shipments. When the prosecutor asked whether he had believed the organization protected his family, Gabriel looked toward Owen in the gallery. Yes. And do you still believe that no? What changed your mind? Gabriel looked at the photograph of the alley displayed as evidence. My son was harmed by the same system I built to keep him beyond harm. He said nothing more. 1 year after Owen was left behind Bellini House, the restaurant reopened under new ownership. Curtis no longer worked there. The new management paid transparent tips and posted schedules 2 weeks in advance. The private upstairs rooms became ordinary dining spaces. No armed meetings were held beneath the gold lights. Lena returned after closing. Snow had begun falling. She wore the silver stag around her wrist for the first time. Gabriel waited near the rear entrance. His home confinement had ended 2 weeks earlier. Federal supervision remained. He had arrived alone, though Dante waited somewhere nearby. Lena stepped into the alley. The security light had been replaced. The wall had been cleaned. No blood remained. No broken phone lay beneath the dumpster. The place looked smaller than memory. Gabriel stood beside the spot where Owen had fallen. I have not been here since that night, he said. Neither have I. Snow settled in his hair. He looked toward her. Do you regret calling me? Lena remembered the black card inside her apron, the voice on the phone, the chair crashing, Owen's blood on her hands, Caleb's calm face, Valerie's hospital room, the apartment keys she had purchased herself. No. Even knowing what answering that phone brought into your life, I regret that Owen was hurt. Gabriel waited. I do not regret refusing to leave him here. Across the street, light filled the windows of a pizza restaurant. Owen sat inside with Theo and 2 other friends. No guard occupied their table. Dante watched from a car half a block away. Gabriel looked through the window. Owen laughed at something Theo said. For a moment, Gabriel's attention followed every person who moved near the entrance. Then he looked back at Lena, She touched the silver stag. Owen said the black one belonged to your organization. It did. And this one, he chose what it means. What do you think it means? Gabriel's voice became quiet. Something I do not control. Snow moved between them. Lena looked toward the end of the alley. Gabriel held out his hand. He did not take hers. What are you asking? She said. For permission to walk out of this alley with you. Only the alley. For tonight. Lena studied his open hand. The same hand had once closed around Caleb's throat. The same hand had signed away an empire. The same hand had learned to wait. She placed her fingers inside it. Gabriel did not close his hand until she closed hers first. They walked toward the sidewalk. Owen remained across the street with his friends, laughing beyond his father's reach. Lena could release Gabriel whenever she chose. She did not. Behind them, the alley grew quiet beneath the falling snow.